The Bedrock Wither, notorious for being the most difficult boss in Minecraft, having the highest health of any mob with 600 health, and the most damage with 103 damage. It's no wonder why people call this
the hardest boss in Minecraft.
Infinitely more difficult than the Java Wither.
Far more terrifying than in Java.
It can't be that bad, right? Oh my god, it's so hard!
But today, I'm going to be fighting it with First, I have to explain some crucial mechanics. The Wither has an 11-second spawning animation, and at the end, it will explode. Since it stays still during this animation, we can use an advanced speedrunning technique called walking, thus getting us safely away from its blast radius. Now that the hardest part is covered, let's talk about phase 1. The Wither will float up and shoot 3 black skulls followed by 1 blue skull. These skulls explode, which we probably want to avoid if you don't want to take any damage. To solve this, we will be using another crazy speedrunning method called walking, but this time to the left and right. After a few seconds, it will fly to another location and it starts the cycle again. About every 5 skulls, it will also shoot another blue skull in a random direction. It's rarely aimed at us, but still important to look out for those. It shoots its skulls a bit faster at 1/3 and 2/3 of the first phase, but it can still dodge it by moving away. At half health, the Wither does another explosion, so we have to once again space ourselves. Now we are on to phase 2. When it explodes, it also spawns 3 Wither skeletons, which aren't much of a problem since you can line up the Wither skulls to kill the skeletons. The Wither no longer flies around and is now grounded. However, it still has the same attack of shooting 3 black skulls and 1 blue skull. After 2 cycles, it performs its new attack, the dash. Normal blocks can't stop it and it does about 15 points of damage. However, it has a pretty short range, so we can once again use the secret technique of walking. When it dies, it explodes again, but we can also just walk away from that. And finally, that's it. Except we have a few problems. Problem number 1. The Wither is way up here, and we are down here, so we can't even punch it since the gap between us is too big. But thanks to Bedrock Edition, we can use the Wither's weapons against it. Because in Bedrock Edition, you can punch the Wither's blue skulls to deflect it, and it actually does damage if it hits the Wither. Note that this does not work in Java Edition or for the black skulls. Problem number 2. In hard mode, you can die from starvation if your hunger bar hits 0. This is problematic because number 1, we are in hard mode, number 2, we have no items meaning no food, and number 3, we literally can't take any damage. Good news is that only certain things will take away hunger, such as sprinting, jumping, mining, and hitting. But can you guess what doesn't use any hunger? That's right, we will once again be using the power of walking. And that's pretty much all that needs to be covered. By the way, only 0.1% of people are subscribed, so if you enjoyed, please subscribe. Like, share, and comment, and everything else, blah blah blah. And also thank you all for 1,000 subscribers. Anyways, back to the video. And let's summon the Wither. Of course, first with a very long spawning animation. But after about 10 seconds, the real battle begins. Now if you didn't notice, that did no damage at all. And that is one cycle of moves that the Wither just repeatedly throws at us. So I'll just cut it down into a little montage. Now at this point, the Wither was 1 hit away from being in second phase, so I had to make sure that I was far enough away, otherwise I would be killed by the explosion. But being further away meant that the skull had to travel longer, making it very easy for it to move out of the way before I could get a hit. So I just had to kind of pray that the wither would walk in the same direction as the skull, which after a while, I finally managed to get. So now let's get on to phase 2. Then, the final skull connects, and the wither's health bar drops to 0 as it prepares to pull up one final time. Now, I kind of forgot to record my mic, but I can tell you that it was a biggest moment of relief. And finally, after 20 minutes of walking around and punching skulls later, we finally killed the Bedrock Wither with no items, no damage, and on hard mode. Well, it was actually definitely more than 20 minutes, because that was actually my 43rd attempt. Let's just say those past attempts were a little bit unlucky. But once again, I want to thank you guys for watching and for 1,000 subscribers. If you're lucky, you might find a hype button underneath this video, which makes YouTube want to recommend my video to more people. So if you're one of those lucky people, please help me boost my video. And once again, thank you all for watching, and God bless.